Hello and welcome to another episode on this YouTube channel. I'm going to be talking about African freelancers and why they're the best in the world today. I'll be walking you through some of the reasons that most people don't get to understand because Africa is not really well reported on in the news, in research, and it's not popping up as it should be in the freelancing world. So today I hope you get a glimpse as to why the African names and profiles you're seeing on Fiverr and Upwork deserves and recommend and is probably the best choice you can go with, not just for affordability, but because they're the best in class. Awesome. I'm just testing out my scrolling device here. Awesome. I like it. Let's go. So point number one, survival grade motivation. So ever since I was young, pretty much since I was 18, I felt the pressure to need to work and put some bread on the table for my family. Now, it wasn't such a case where I didn't know where my parents would get food for me and whatnot, but certainly there's enough of a pressure for you to sense that you need a longer career than what most people get to live out in a typical scenario of a family and in a country setting, right? You go to college, you're probably approaching your mid 20s, and that's when you start working. But over here, it's different. I think in Uganda, you even get 12-year-olds driving cars in public for business purposes and activities. So that's basically how it works here, right? Like that you need to start working sooner than not, and this is because of different pressures that mount on us as Africans. And actually, funny enough is that most people are actually just coming from really poor backgrounds. That they are the first to use the internet and the laptop that they and the computer that they have. Maybe they're sharing the computer device and they're doing some freelancing work on it just to make ends meet, or do a bit beyond that, which is feed their family and put some clothes on their back. Point number two is that we've been self-teaching ourselves since the beginning of life as we very much know it. So, as a freelancer, if you know anything about freelancing and what you expect from a top-class freelancer, is that they should definitely be teaching themselves skills and evolving with the tools, especially in this AI era, right? And that mindset is only one that a person who's been bred and raised up in that self-teaching way, the one that can, it's only those people that can actually keep up with that freelancing kind of like lurking and looming culture that you need to have for you to be successful as a freelancer. So you're hiring people who have been self-teaching themselves since the very beginning of life. And jobs are scarce. Universities really suck so much, and they're so difficult because they're rooted in memorizing textbook content. So we've been so focused on self-teaching, not being well trained by our teachers, and just being independently trained in our own and organizing ourselves into study groups and all these sort of things. So that's exactly why this is point number two as to why African freelancers are definitely the best to work with. Now, point number three is resourcefulness, ties into the point number two, is that we've been resourceful since the very beginning of life. I remember when I was like about probably not older than 12 years old, 11 maybe. I actually opened a car wash with my other peers who one of them was maybe 2, 3 years older than me and the rest were younger than me. And we just opened a car wash for the day and wash cars and all that and clean them up nicely so that we could earn some money for us to put a meal on our table for the evening. Now, there was more like a test than it was circumstances truly demanding it of us, but it was certainly an experience I've had to go through. And I'm somebody who was fortunate enough to have studied in the USA, also got a scholarship to attend a private high school in Canada. So, as privileged as I am, I still have had a childhood that required resourcefulness to quite an extreme level that most people tend to sign up for in the USA or Canada or Europe out of deliberate and a willing choice that they make to be as resourceful as some of the people I think not some but most African youth and freelancers have had to do in their childhood back in the day. Now, point number four is quite surprising to most people because whenever I connect with some clients on Upwork, which is where I do my freelancing and I only hire on Fiverr, on Upwork. I do both hiring and freelancing. Is that they always say, "Wow!" They're always astonished by my English fluency, right? And my command of the language. Ultimately, that's because they actually don't know that most African countries actually have English as their official language. At least the big countries that you might know off the top of your head, English is an official language in those countries. And I really believe that, yeah, the average Nigerian, for instance, I'm not from Nigeria, I'm from Namibia, but the average Nigerian is probably better than the average Filipino. If you put them on in a spelling bee contest, I think the average Nigerian will do better than a Filipino national. So yeah, that's basically one of the fourth point out of six that I'd like to share with you. Point number five is that we are the world's youngest and biggest portion of young people in the entire world. We're the world's youngest continent and we're the world's biggest proportion of young people in the whole world. So when you're hiring Africans, you're actually hiring the most young, yeah, the youngest and the most tech native talent there is, period. Because tech native talent needs to be born after 2000 or in the 2000s or the 2010s for them to be really tech savvy as AI today requires, right? And as tool and technology and software agnostic as you have to be, and fluid as you have to be in changing what software you use today and versus the next month. And so you find that we have the youngest population who's ready to serve you in the most tech native way. And it's not just a DA gesture to work with African talent, but it's effectively the best choice and the best way to work with AI native talent. And if you think that we don't have great talent, maybe you think we only have good writers, designers or content producers or creators, because that's easy and that's maybe a bit more English oriented, right? Uh, then I challenge you to research a company called Andela, right? If you check out a company called Andela, you'll notice that it's a startup that pretty much did what you call online training for software engineers across the continent. And they've trained, I think, tens of thousands of engineers to and place them in roles through their talent marketplace as well. So check out Andela. It's spelled Andela for yourself, so that you can understand how sophisticated and talented and really hard skilled African youth truly are. And then point number six, and this is the last point, I believe. Yes, it is the last point, is that Africa isn't Nigeria. There's 54 countries, 54 talent pools. Don't think that there's only Nigeria and South Africa and that's it, and the rest of it is just barren land where everybody is poor, speaking a clicking language or something. That is not the case. Africa is big. There's a lot of talent here. There's millions of people to sift through, and the great thing is the ones you see online on Fiverr and Upwork, those are the best of the best. Those are the best who people in their communities or their families gave them resources to try and have them consistent internet access, a good working computer, so that they can show up on Upwork or Fiverr, right? So you're betting on the very best of African talent from a pool of millions of young people. I'm not even any longer falling into the youngest, I mean the biggest age bracket in the continent, which is 0 to 25 years, because I'm 27 now. And so I'm sort of older than the average African. Literally, I am older than the average African and the biggest age group of Africans that exists, which is 0 to 25 years old. Anyway, that is everything I've had to share today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you take a bit more time and attention and dignity toward the African talent pool that you're seeing on Upwork and Fiverr. It's not something to do out of a good, kind heart or as a DEI gesture, but this is about investing building your company with the youngest, most AI native, technology native, and savviest freelancers you can access. All the best to you. I hope you get to hire somebody from Africa soon. Certainly, at TM.io, we try and work and actually are bringing a lot of Africans online onto Upwork so that they can win more projects and actually make a living and feed their families. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Goodbye.